Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Mastermind edition of the show. My name is Swire. You can also call me the promo guy. Joining me as my co-panel today is Michael Castiglione from Sandler Training, also the 2021 Ambassador of the Year from the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce. And our guest today is Pablo Serrano. He's a professional photographer and photo editor. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hey, Swire, great to be here today.
Good to see you.
Hey, Pablo, would you mind to give the listener a quick bio about your company, and then we can move on to some of the questions that you have for the show?
Sure. My name is Pablo Serrano. I am the founder and director of Image Easel, which is a photo retouching studio based in Los Angeles. We offer a range of photo retouching services for campaign photography, editorial, entertainment, and e-commerce.
Okay. One of the questions that you have, I'm going to bring it up on the screen, is building a brand awareness. Can you, let us know some of the things that you have done or some of the things that you wish to do for your company?
Sure. Yeah. Building a brand is not an easy task. It's actually a very risky activity, and but when it's done well, it creates a lot of confidence, and it also helps you separate from the competition. So it is really an activity that I believe should be done prior to launching any business, which means basically you have to really understand why you're doing what you're doing, where do you want to go. So basically you have to really get the vision of your company straight from the beginning. In the past, I have tried without doing this work, and it hasn't gone well. Now that I have done it, it's a completely different ballgame. So I have taken courses basically to develop my business skills, because I had to transition or make a shift from a creative mindset to a business mindset. And in the end, they both require creativity. So I don't feel like I'm sacrificing my creative skills, not at all.
The question that I want to ask is, if you don't mind to share, what are your ideal client, and then how are you, or are you having challenges reaching those ideal clients?
Sure. I work primarily in the fashion space, based in Los Angeles. I work with apparel companies. Some of my ideal clients would be some of the top brands of the world: Patagonia, North Face, Chanel, Burberry. But I'm not dealing with them at the moment. I'm dealing with local brands. And, the challenge basically is to be able to present my idea in an appealing way that will provide new benefits to them that they're not already getting with their system.
What do you think, Mike?
So I'm going to go back to your first question on brand, and I'm sitting down with two creatives, and I'm much more of the right brain and strategy. For me, brand is strategy.
Yeah.
It's the experience from the moment the first time your prospect engages with your company. That's your brand. So, Pablo, you're a rock star when it comes to being creative and visually. That first visual experience, that's their first experience. But it also, and this is where brand strategy gets a little challenging, is once you're done with that image, like when I say Pepsi, everyone can think, all right, I can think of the blue, red, and white symbol. Coca-Cola, same thing. McDonald's, everyone. That's not, to me, just brand. Brand is your entire experience throughout. So once you have your brand out there, you have what you look like. To me, the more important part is, because you're more B2B. You're not direct to consumer. They're not making their decision without you. They're making their decision with you in the room. And too many times we get into this I need to convince you mode, where that's where your brand needs to carry itself through. So how are you engaging them in a space where you're different from the rest. And I know we'll get to that in a second, but when it comes to fashion and apparel, top brands, local brands, how do you get to point to present? To me, that's too fast. It's why would they even want to have a conversation with you?
Right.
That to me is way more important in your brand than I need to present. Because if you don't understand what their pain points are, in most cases it's probably getting more ROI, getting more, foot traffic, whether it's in their door or through their e-commerce platforms, is how? Like why would I want to work with you, Pablo? Once I can understand the challenges that my prospect is facing, then I can start to think about presentation down the road. But too many business owners think right on the shiny object, the presentation first. To me, that should be the last thing.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I think really as business owners and as entrepreneurs, we are really actually problem seekers. So we need to actually identify what are the problems that the brands are having. And therefore, we develop a presentation, a solution for that problem. So basically trying to eliminate their pain points. Now, having worked in the apparel industry for many years, I have a good idea of the pain points. And I've tried to develop a solution around those pain points.
What are the obvious that you see?
I'm sorry?
What are the top 2 or 3 pain points that you see on a regular basis?
Basically, completing work on time with high quality work on time, because the workload usually it's always increasing, and they're asking for more because they want more material to test new ideas, to try to sell more product.
I think one way I wanted to suggest, if you want people to reach out to you, and obviously, Pablo, you are an expert in your field, but then you want to try to be the known expert in the field.
Right.
That means that, we are expert in what we do, but do people know, and our ideal client know, that we are the expert in the field? Chances are we might not do as good as a job that it would be. For example, if we mention a designer, let's say in the fashion industry, people can already think of designer, they are no expert that they want to reach out to, they want to work with. When they say, they want to work with a event planner, or what kind of camera or lenses you use, you already know right away there's a perception of certain lens and certain lighting that you have to use, because they make it known to be the best in their field or whatever task that they need to use. Think about how you could present yourself and your services to be the known expert. Then going back to the Mike's point, you want an expert to come in to solve your problem, and you don't want just everyone to come in to solve your problem.
That's right. Yeah. Basically, small business owners have to establish their expertise in their field, and you do that through an act of generosity, I feel. So by sharing your expertise and letting people know how much you understand their problems, and establishing a consistent message.
Right now, how are you doing that to get the word known about your work and your services?
Basically, I'm working on a marketing plan, because that's really at the core. You set the foundation of a business. Basically, you set the vision for the business. You set all the processes and legal legal needs. Once all of that is formed, then you work on a marketing plan with your key messages for the people that you want to reach, and you start sending out your communications through your chosen platform where you're likely to find those people. So basically,
something from Mike's books, and he always encouraged people to reach out and to engage with them.
Yeah,
how are you currently reaching out to engage with your ideal clients? What have you been doing so far?
Basically through LinkedIn. I sent out a message and basically tried to make contact and develop a relationship. This process is actually slow. I wish it would be faster and more efficient, but it takes several tries, and you have to be super clear in the message basically that you're sending out to help people.
Pablo, I think you and everyone listening has that same exact wish. Not only can it be faster, but can it be higher in engagement? And, as I'm listening to you, keep doing what you're doing. Keep marketing, keep reaching out on LinkedIn. And, I can give you some ideas of make it more efficient is, build a cadence after your LinkedIn. Not everyone is on it. And you
Right.
have to think, I read an interesting article where, response rate is down like 200% on LinkedIn since March, April time. So think about it. When we weren't able to meet in person anymore, everyone went online.
Right.
And it was already trending in that direction where LinkedIn's the largest networking organization in the world. So that's one point. So if you can collect data on that, because again, you want to get to the right decision maker, whether it's the CMO or the CEO, whoever is in the organization. So obviously LinkedIn is a great place to start, but that's the key. It's the start of the process and knowing that it's going to take months to get some people to respond and to engage is how are you connecting them into your email outreach? So the magic number, and I've said it before on this show, is 7.
Right.
7, you've been in several of my sessions. 7 is the magic number from beginning to my first meeting with someone. So yes, do LinkedIn. Yes, do the messages there, but also can you go onto a platform like a Yelp or Google and get more information? You've got, I think, Fast People Search, where if you're looking to find a direct email to someone or a phone number for someone, you can pull that information off the internet.
Right.
And then build a 7-point cadence. So the key is if you do it for a year and it's slow, but you do it with several hundred prospects, you're going to have a much higher engagement over the course of a year than if you just keep circulating and keep searching. So my suggestion is farm the great prospects that you have, continue to put them back through your system and let them tell you no, or I am interested, just not yet, as opposed to constantly trying to find new crops and find new people. That would be my first suggestion. Any thoughts on that?
No, I think that's a great idea, and that's actually built in the marketing plan through a calendar, because really, when it comes to running a business, you have to be super organized, and you have to write goals down and use calendars, because it makes it easier. It takes the pressure off. You have a goal and you go for it. When they're losing your head, they're much more likely to slide away. So I agree, and I think that those seven tries are necessary. Sometimes actually it's more than 7.
Oh yeah. And
but
again,
the point is to actually, it can take a year to onboard a client, and in that year there might be maybe at least seven tries. And when the time is right, something will happen. Part of the process is you have to trust that something will happen, and you will be able to see the opportunity and go with it.
So let's get away from the trust the process for a second, and let's get to some more things that you can do. Is you do campaigns, right? That's what. So talking to you about marketing, I don't want to talk that, because that's what you do. I want to talk, because you mentioned before when we were talking in the waiting room, finding those decision makers has been a challenge.
Right. Yeah.
So let's think outside the box. Let's use this time to think proactively. Is, well, you've seen campaigns that are not up to your par. Is that fair? Like, you've seen some campaigns from fashion and small.
Right. No, I see them all the time, because I part of my work is to keep on trend, and I subscribe to many brands. I get email campaigns every day, and I see what they're doing. I see where they go off.
Great.
I see when they drop the ball.
Sure.
And I also see when they do it very well.
I have one question real quick, Pablo, for your ideal client who are an investor in the industry. Who will be the main contact who make that decision for hiring, services like yourself? Who will be the title of the person?
Usually the main contact person for me is a creative director, because the creative director is in charge of creative services, and he or she has a budget to execute all the creative projects. So normally that's the person that says yes or no to my presentation.
Can I challenge you there, Pablo? That's not your decision maker. Your decision maker is one step up.
Right. Also, yeah.
Think about it for a second. You're reaching out to them because you saw their campaign. It probably wasn't the best. It was their thought baby. Fair?
Right.
So if you reach out and you're like, hey, they're going to take maybe a little personal offense or a little competitive. So you go one step up. And it's not this was not up to par. It was, what did you think? Hey, I just saw your previous campaign to the CEO. How did that work out for you? What did you think about it? So there's a reason why you're reaching out. And then when you get those pain points of, well, it didn't quite reach what we wanted to, wasn't quite what we had in mind. Oh, what did you have in mind? And you and I have practiced the questioning strategies. So for me, yes, the CMO or that creative director may be someone who you collaborate with, but that should not be who you're originally reaching out to at first. You always want to start at the top of the waterfall.
Right. No, I agree. I agree that actually I would like to position myself closest to the decision maker. That's really the best place to be.
And when you talk to that CEO, the business owner, and then they say, you know what, I have a creative director, I'd love to bring you in and talk to that person. Then it's, how can you create a quid pro quo where it's not, I'm coming in as competition, but your job is to manage the outside direction. I'm going to come in and help you. So that would be my suggestion as you go through, and I'm sure you are in your LinkedIn campaigns and stuff, is start at the top of the waterfall, because it's much easier to go down the waterfall than it is to
go up. Yes, true. Yeah.
And to add to Mike's point, when you reach to higher level, when you deal with a creative director, maybe they will look at the photo quality, the retouching services. But let's say you reach to the CEO, for example. I know that your product is photo and photo editing. They might not care as much as the photo. What they want to care about is how they can sell more products.
That's right.
How can they increase the brand? And then, so they're not focusing on what you actually do right now. But then when you try to market and pitch to them, you have to show them by having you work on their images, you can make more sell. You could grow your brand, or you can break into the new market and relate to a new demographic that you're trying to. And you actually, like you said, helping them to increase their brand awareness for the client.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I see that the ideas that I work on are coming from a marketing team, and they want they want to produce more ideas. So there is a pressure to be able to complete the work on time or early, so that you can continue to work on other projects, and they want the quality to be to exceed the previous campaign, equal or better.
And again, you don't have to worry about that, because your proprietary process, not only are you faster, but you're better, right? Like, you have that. Now, the key thing that you have to remember is all your competition is saying that exact same thing, right?
Yes.
I can do it better. I can do it faster.
Right. Yeah. It goes back to the idea of the brand, really, because when you don't have a brand defined correctly, then you begin to compete on commodities. You compete on price. You compete on features, and everyone can, on quality, everyone can compete and claim that my quality is better than yours. I have more features than you. So there is actually a way to not compete on commodities, because everyone can do that, and it's subjective. And the clients are not necessarily going to go with the best option. So they're going to go most likely with the least risky option.
From the brand and more on the experience.
Right.
So when you talk about how do you differentiate from your competition, what can you do different? You have to stop talking about what you're doing and start asking them the questions of what they're going through. That's what makes you different. Sandler, we have a phrase: if your competition is doing it, stop doing it immediately. And, when you live in a creative world where you have to stay current with the trends, right? You have to stay current with what's new and sexy and what's going to take you to the next level. Keep doing that. Don't stop that. It's the experience of how you get the conversation going with your decision makers. They have the expectation that you're going to come in and present, because that's what everybody else has done. And that's where you have to break the mold. Stop presenting immediately, because when you present, 2 or 3 people have already presented in front of you, and 2 or 3 people will present after you. And then the next wave, it'll be the same process. You got to break the mold and be different. Is it going to work 100% of the time? No. But you're going to work with those who are the like-minded individuals, like-minded organizations that experience your process. So how do you do that? Is you stop talking about what you're doing and you start asking them the great 3 questions that you started this conversation with. How have the previous campaigns gone? Who have you used? Why? Ask them this question: why are we having this conversation? Are you just doing me a favor to, I reached out to you on LinkedIn, or you just doing, why are we having this conversation? Because those who you're talking about, the directors and the CEOs, they're busy. Right. They're working 27 hours in a 24-hour span. And if they're going to take 15 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour to sit down with you, there's a reason for it. Mm-hmm. And have you ever just started with, why are we having this conversation? Help me understand what you want to accomplish when this conversation ends. If you start that, again, I talk about experience, the whole process. Just start there. And that alone will get them thinking, well, I want to see what you did. I want to see all this stuff. But no, why are we having this conversation? What's the need to move forward? Because if you can start to listen to what their challenges are, so if you hear nothing but speed and logistics,
right,
then you know that that's been an issue for them, and you've got that covered. If you start to hear new and fresh, maybe the speed and logistics aren't as important. So then you can talk about how you rethink and reposition them in a different way. If you start to hear of a third thing, it allows you to then pivot your presentation so you don't sound like ABC company was in there right before you. And at the end of the day, Pablo, you and I have said this before, we're expensive. If someone's making their decision on price, then they're probably not going to go with us.
Right.
So if that's the case, they should be making the decision not on a commodity, but as you're going to provide so much value because you actually listened to what I was saying. And most people don't. They wait for their opportunity to speak. So that would be my first suggestion on, how do you be different than your competition? Is stop talking.
Right.
Don't talk like them, just stop talking and listen.
Yeah. Hey, Pablo, I have an idea and a question. So we talked about LinkedIn and connecting with, client that you want to do. So who will be a good referral partner? For the fashion company that you just mentioned, let's say we go to CEO and executive level. Who do you think, that will have, similar contact base already in there? They're not competing directly with you, who already have that relationship already.
I would think that other apparel companies that work in niche areas could be a good referral, because they're more likely connected with similar people on their level and higher. So there's a lot of action wear brands in LA. So I think some of those would be a good referral.
Well, I'm also thinking about, once you finish the photo touching, how would they use it? One example that I think of might be a printer who print catalogs.
Right.
It may be a good referral. They already have a relationship. They need your photography. Also, maybe a PR agency.
That's true.
They need
That's true.
photo
Yeah.
to push it out for the campaign. So these will be your referral partner. They don't compete with you, but then they already have the relationship who needs your services. So on LinkedIn, if you already have a relationship and you know that those companies are working with the ideal client that you're trying to target, maybe start with those. Then if they trust your work, then whenever they hear a feedback maybe from the executive level, we didn't like how the photos coming out on the catalog, then they could suggest that people to contact you. So think about all the referral partners that are already doing business with your ideal client.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Also, yeah, finding people, suppliers that work with the clients that I want to target, and see if there's a referral there.
Maybe even graphic designer. If
Right.
there's a graphic design firm, that do all the catalog, even catalog publisher, could be a good contact, because obviously they need the images from you to be put onto the catalog.
I love it, Swire, and I made a list of them, and those referral partners now become prospecting opportunities for you, Pablo. So we talk, we all go through peaks and valleys, ebbs and flows of, as you're prospecting your ideal client. You have a couple conversations and then you go through a drought, and then you have a couple conversations. This provides a whole new opportunities if you prospect for your referral partners. It also takes your effective filter down. There's not as much pressure in the conversation, because you really are having a conversation of, how can I get to know you? And as you create your professional group of, you can't do it all. So you're going to need a printer. You're going to need a PR firm. You're going to need that graphic designer that, helps fulfill the organization. As you continue to work together, power partners are phenomenal. Are you in like a referral networking group? I know Swire is very active in networking. Are you in like a group where they meet regularly that support each other?
I basically go to different network events. I am in some, but they're not necessarily. I am in a group where about public speaking, and in there we there's all sorts of people that attend.
Is it like a Toastmasters?
What's that?
Is it Toastmasters?
Yes, the Toastmasters. Yeah, because I feel that that's really a good way to learn how to present, learn more soft skills that are necessary for running a business, like making relationships, presenting.
For you, as we run out of time here, is take a note of this, is look up BNI or LaTip. And I know, Swire, that you're active. They're seat exclusive groups. I'm in one. I would have you come visit. There is someone who does exactly what you do in my group already. Otherwise, what I would suggest is they meet once a week. They're seat exclusive, so there would be only one photographer. There would be only one business. There would be only one, marketing professional. Then everyone refers each other. So you commit to having lunch or breakfast with everyone once a week, so you can get to know and trust everyone, and then you refer within the group. So I would take a look at one of those organizations, and continue, as Swire suggested, continue to reach out to those four demographics, those four industries and positions, but also be proactive and join a group. It's a little bit different than like what we do with OmniWork with Greenberg, because you never know who's going to show up. This one is the set group of anywhere from 20 to 80 people who refer each other actively.
Like the best scenario will be, you're able to connect with your power partner and they know and will work with you as a team. So when you pitch a CEO or high level executive, you can already present them with solution. I'll help you with a photo. I know a printer. I know a PR company. So all you have to do is work with my team, and then you're done. then you kind of solve all the problem. They don't have to find all this professional. You are bringing in as a team, so you're creating an actual solution for them. When you think about your summer release, our team can take care of it. These are the people that we use. Then you're actually providing a solution to solve all the problems that they have. And so you got to figure out, and look around with the photo that they receive from you. How are they going to use it? Are you able to bring in a partner that can help them at the next part, and then go back to the next cycle or the next release for the fall fashion again? Then you become a solution provider. And like you said, not another commodity that they have to use every quarter.
Yeah, no, thank you for the recommendation. I will look into that, into those groups, to just basically to participate and refer people and get referrals.
Thank you so much, guys. Time goes by really fast, and Mike, thank you for being a great panel, and Pablo, I hope this information would help.
Yes,
and
yes,
if the viewer and listener wanted to be a guest on the Mastermind or the Edition, feel free to reach out to me or Mike. We're happy to provide suggestion and ideas for you. And with that, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.